Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear students of Communications and Public Relations Management course, today inshallah we will continue chapter number 4, which is titled by Public Opinion. In the previous lecture we start to define what do we mean by public, what do we mean by opinion, and what do we mean by public opinion in general. And also we discussed some theories related to public opinions. And today inshallah we will continue this chapter, and we will start from slide number 25, the power of persuasion. Persuasion is perhaps the most essential element in influencing public opinion. So if you wanted to establish an effective message as a public relation practitioner, this message supposed to be supposed to convince your audience, supposed to persuade your audience. Okay, or in another words, if you wanted to influence your public opinion, you have to know how to persuade them, how to convince them. Persuading is the ultimate goal of the vast majority of public relations program. As we said before, that the main goal or one of the main functions of public relations is to influence, is to reinforce, to keep, to change public opinion. So the ultimate goal of vast majority of public relation programs is to persuade or to convince the audience. Persuasion theory has explanations and interpretations. Basically, persuasion means getting another person to do something through using different tools such as advice, reasoning, or just a plain arm twisting. So what do we mean by persuasion? Persuasion, it means that I want you to do something, okay, in a specific way. So I have to use different tools in order to persuade you to do that thing, okay, or to convince you to do that thing as I need. Those tools may be by giving an advice, or by giving reasoning, or just a plain arm twisting. Okay, في النهاية to convince you to do something as I want, or to change your opinion in general. طيب tools بيحكي لي على نصيحة, reasoning, or just plain arm twisting. arm twisting بمعنى اللي هو لوي الذراع، لكن هنا مش المقصود فيها بالإجبار. حكى لي plain arm twisting بمعنى لوي الذراع ولكن بشكل خفيف، بشكل بسيط. يعني هذه أحد الطرق اللي بتستخدمها ل public relations للإقناع في الجمهور. Books have been written on the enormous power of advertising and public relations as persuasive tools. So if you wanted to affect your public opinion, or to persuade or change their opinion, you can use two major tools. The first one, public relations, and the second one is advertising. So the most important tools can be used in persuasive others is public relation and advertising. طبعا of course there is a lot of tools can be used for persuasion, لكن the most important tools which is used in convincing other or to persuade others is public relation and advertising. Continue talking about the power of persuasion. According to the classical persuasion theory, people may be of two minds in order to be persuaded to believe in a particular position or take specific actions. So if you need your audience or your public to believe in an issue or to take an action or a specific action, here the people have two minds. They can be classified into two classifications or into two groups. Okay, the first one, it is the systematic mode. Systematic mode, those who use a systematic mode, those who use who pay too much attention to everything, They are rational people. They are interested in everything. They are focusing on details of anything. They want to understand everything surrounding them. فبالتالي هذول الناس أو المجموعة الأولى حذرين، بيعطي اهتمام لكل شيء. So the first group خلينا نحكي the systematic mod, referring to a person who has carefully considered as argument, activity, creatively and alertly. Okay, طيب. The second group of people is the heuristic mod. طيب. Heuristic mod referring to a person who is skimming the surface and not really focusing on intricacies of a particular position to catch flaws or errors. Heuristics people or heuristic mod, it is refers to people who need to be guided. They need an instructions. They judge any issue or any situation by skimming the surface. They don't care about details. ما بيركزوا على تفاصيل زي المجموعة الأولى. هم بياخدوا الشيء قشور الشيء، السطوح فقط. دائما بيحاولوا يبعدوا عن أي تعقيدات موجودة في المواضيع. So they focusing on any default or any errors for your organization without exerting any efforts to understand the issues or the details of this problem. دايما حتى بيركزوا على الأخطاء تبعتك. أول ما بيسمعوا في failure أو errors معينة لهذه المنظمة بيبدوا يحكوا فيها بشكل سريع بدون حتى ما بيعرفوا إيش الأسباب والمسببات ويعملوا الأبحاث تبعتهم ويعرفوا التفاصيل. فقط بيركزوا they are skimming the surface. بيركزوا على قشور الشيء وسطوح الأمور. So again, if you need your audience or your public to believe in an issue or to take an action, here we have two group of people or two minds. The first one who use a systematic mod, they are focusing on details. They want to understand everything about any issue and they are rational people. ولكن the second group, people who needed to be guided, they needs an instructions, they judge any issue by skimming the surface. They are not caring about any details. This is not to say that all the systematic thinkers and the heuristic thinkers think alike. They don't. It means not all systematic thinkers thinking alike and not all of the heuristic thinkers they are think alike. They have different things. يعني حتى الناس اللي هم عندهم systematic mod وبيفكروا بطريقة مسستمة ونظامية مش كلهم بيفكروا بنفس الطريقة. هناخد example عليها. ولا حتى الheuristic thinkers they are think alike رغم انهم بينتميوا الى نفس الجروب او نفس المجموعة. Things are more complicated than that. الأمر أكثر تعقيدا من هذا. ليه؟ لأنه because we are studying or we are talking about human beings. It is not a simple matter. So they have different moods, they have different attitudes, they have different culture. فإحنا يعني الأمر مش بالشيء السهل. إحنا بنحكي على طبيعة بشرية. Let's say that your little brother, هاي example, wants a pair of basketball shoes and your dad accompanies him to the store to buy them. Both are systematic thinkers. Whether your brother or your dad have a systematic thinkers, but they have different questions, so they are not thinking alike. طيب بالنسبة للأسئلة اللي ممكن يطرحها your dad asks how much do they cost? So he is a cost oriented or money oriented. How long will they last? Okay, is the store nearby so I can get back to home quickly or not? So we can say that your dad focusing on, or he is a cost oriented, money oriented, he wanted to go back quickly to his home, and he is focusing on saving money. هو مركز على البادجت، ما يكون عالي، يكون حتى بيخدم لفترة طويلة اللي أنا بدي أجيبه، كمان حتى إنه ما أحتاج إنه يعني أدفع لمواصلات الرجوع للبيت، ما يكون بعيد كتير عن البيت. طيب هذا يعني this is a systematic mode. طيب your brother also have a systematic mode, but he is not thinking like your dad. Your brother asked, does Jordan endorse them? هل هذا اللاعب المشهور جوردن endorse them؟ هل توقيعه موجود عليه؟ Do all my homeboys wear them? Okay, because your brother wanted to distinguish himself from others، فبالتالي مش عايز التانيين كمان يكونوا لابسين نفس الحذاء. Will Selena Gomez go out with me if I buy them؟ يعني رفع كمان سقف تطلعاته، يعني هل ممكن سيلينا جوميز كمان إذا أنا لبست هذا الحذاء واللي موقع كمان من جوردن ممكن يعني يكون في فرصة إنه ترافقني أو إلى آخره. ف both of them, your dad and your brother, have a systematic mode, but each of them thinking differently from each other. So as a public relation practitioners, you have to understand your audience, you have to understand your focus group, who are they, whether they are classified as the first mode or the second one, systematic mode or heuristic mode, in order to determine your message, to write your words, which is it can be published for each of them. As a conclusion, the point is all of us are persuaded by different things, which makes the challenges of for public relations professionals much more complex art from than a science. Okay, so the challenge here for public relation practitioners is to understand target group, to understand their audience, and use the most appropriate tools to send their messages. And as you see, it is considered as art than a science. عملية الإقناع نفسها محتاجة فن أكثر من اللي هو نحتاج إلى علم ونظريات لعمليات الإقناع. How are people persuaded? Radical organizer Saul Alinsky says that people only understand things in terms of their own experience. If you try to get your ideas across to others without paying attention to what they have to say to you, you can forget about the whole thing. It means you want to know how to convince your audience, how to convince or persuade people to change their opinion, and this is considered something very difficult and it is very hard to be done. So if you want to affect your audience or your audience opinion, you have to understand their experience. As Saul says, people only understand things in terms of their own experience. So first of all, you have to understand your audience experience. It means if you want to approach someone and you don't study him or her, study of course his or her reaction, so forget the whole issue. Okay, if you try to get your ideas across to others without paying attention to what they have to say to you, معنى انه انت ما بتعرف ايش حيكون ردة فعله, you can forget about the whole thing. فبمعنى انه الكلام اللي بيحكي انه لازم ناخد بعين الاعتبار، ندرس الاودينس تبعنا، target group تبعنا، الاكسبيرينس تبعته، ايش حتكون ردة فعله. لازم اعرف هل هو من الطبقة العلمية المثقفة، هل هو غير مثقف، فبالتالي عشان اقدر برضو يعني اساعد في عملية الاقناع او غيره. To persuade, you must cite evidence that coincides with people's own beliefs, emotions, and expectation. So it is not easy to persuade or to convince anyone without having an evidence. Okay, so you have to understand your public beliefs, emotions, which is affect the way we persuade or persuaded, and also their expectation. حتى انه بحكي لي الايموشنز نفسها ممكن تلعب دور في عملية الاقناع. لما يعني حتى لو كان الموضوع انا بفكر فيه بطريقة ثانية، لكن لما بنلعب على وتر المشاعر ممكن اقنع الاخرين في المشاركة في هذا الموضوع او يكونوا معنا او يكونوا ضدنا. What kinds of evidence persuades? The first kind of evidence is facts. Facts are indisputable, although it's true, as they say, that liars figure and figures lie. Empirical data are a persuasive device in hammering a point of view, and the good public relation programs always start with research, or it is start with facts. So you have not to depend on a secondary data. You have to depend on figures or in researches to build a point of view. Okay, so again, facts are indisputable, although it is true, as they say that layers, figures and figures lie. Okay, يعني الكذابون بيستخدموا الفيجرز والفيجرز كمان أحيانا بتكون فيها نوع من الكذب. So empirical data are a persuasive device in hammering a point of view. You have to use researchers, you have to use figures in order to build a point of view. So a good public relation programs always start with research or with facts. Another kind of evidence, emotions. Maslow was right. According to his theory, people do respond to emotional appeals such as love, peace, and family. We can think, but we also respond to emotional appeals. So we can say that emotions has an effect in our decisions. Another kinds of evidence is personalizing. People respond to personal experiences and their stories. For example, when American Most Wanted TV host John Walsh crosses against criminals who prey on children, people understand that his son was killed by a crazed individual. فبالتالي حسب الاستضافة اللي كانت لهذا الشخص وحديثه عن هذه الجرائم بدأ يحكي عن الستوريز تبعته وأيضا الأشخاص اللي بيستخدموا الإكسبيرينسز تبعتهم، فبكونوا أكثر مصداقية، فبكونوا أكثر إقناعا، فبالتالي اقتنعوا بأنه أو تأكدوا بأنه له يعني طفل تم قتله من قبلهم. طيب, another kind of evidence appealing to you. People wanted to know what's in it for me. What I'm going to get from that. ايش اللي حستفيدوا من وراء هذه الرسالة او يعني هذا الإعلان. As simple as these four precepts اللي احنا عددناهم, facts, the emotions, personalizing and appealing to you, they are often difficult for some to grasp emotion. It's very difficult. For example, a particular challenge for a business leaders who presume incorrectly that showing it is a sign of weaknesses. This, of course, is wrong. The power to persuade is the measure not only of charismatic but also an effective leader. So, for anyone who assumes something quickly without studying it carefully, even he is a leader, this is called weaknesses for this person. So we don't have to focus on a charismatic only or on a specific traits of a person, or a leader, but we have to understand or focus on his effectiveness as a whole. Influencing public opinion. Public opinion is a lot easier to measure than it is to influence. So public opinion, it is very easy to be measured. Okay. من السهل انه انا اقيسها يعني من خلال اللي هو الكويستشنيرز، ممكن نستخدم تشيك ليست او غيره، فبالتالي انا ممكن اقيس الرأي العام، لكن it is very difficult to be influenced, it is very difficult to be changed. So public relations program can crystallize attitudes, reinforce beliefs, and occasionally change public opinion. So it's very difficult to change your public opinion. So first of all, the opinions to be changed or modified must be identified and understood. So first of all, you have to understand your audience or your public attitudes. After that, target publics must be clear. So you have to be aware about your audience or about your target group. And finally, public relations professionals must focus on the laws that governs public opinion. Continue talking about influencing public opinion. The laws of public opinion developed many years ago by Handley Cantrell. Few recent events more strongly underscored the relevance of Cantrell's law than the unprecedented attacks on American of September 11, 2001. So those laws of Cantrell, or Cantrell's law of public opinion, the first one, opinion is highly sensitive to important events. Opinion is determined more by events than words. At critical times, we are more sensitive to the adequacy of leadership, and once self-interest is involved, opinion are slow to change. So whenever you have an interest, your opinion cannot be changed easily. People are able to form opinion more easily on goals than on methods or the ways which is used to reach those goals. Also, if people in a democracy or in a democratic society are provided by education, access to information, public opinion also reveals that it is very hard to change these opinions. We will talk about all of them in more details now. The first one, opinion is highly sensitive to important events. Events of unusual magnitude are likely to swing public opinion from one extreme to another. Okay, so people cannot change their opinion unless they pass by a big event. لازم يكون في حدث كبير وفعلا الاشي يصير امامهم ويشوفوا النتائج والعواقب على اساس يكون في عندي نوع من الاقناع. So again, events of unusual magnitude are likely to swing public opinion from one extreme to another. Opinions doesn't become stabilized until the implication or the execution of events are seen in some perspectives. زي لما بنحكي عن الحروب، الحديث عنها وعدم وقوعها في البلد نفسه سهل، لكن لما يصير الاشي فعليا بصير الامور مختلفة و our opinion will be changed. Opinion is generally determined more by events than words. So the next point, رقم 3, at critical times people become more sensitive to the adequacy of their leadership. عادة الإنسان في الأوقات الحرجة دائما ببحث عن القائد لمساعدته للخروج من مشاكل. If they have confidence in it, they are willing to assign more than usual responsibility to it. And if they lack confidence in it, they are less tolerant than usual. So if you are confident about your leader or your manager, you can give him or her more responsibility, والعكس صحيح. Once self-interest is involved, opinions are slow to change. Okay, so don't try to change an opinion for anybody, for any person, and he had a self-interest. تمام. Number 4, once self-interest is involved, opinions are slow to change. So don't try to change any opinion for anyone and he had a self-interest. صعب نغير الرأي تبعه بأي شيء وهو فعليا يعني معاه أو يعني على الأقل هو غير معارض له. تمام. For example, even after the US invaded Iraq to oust Saddam Hussein in March 2003, كان في هناك self interest، كانت في هناك نية من الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية يعني طرد وعزل اللي هو رئيس صدام حسين من مكانه في 2003، والنية كمان ظهرت واستمرت. American supported continued for the war effort. The support began to wane when the 2,000 American soldiers were killed in October 2005. استمر الحشد والدعم لإشعال الحرب، ولكن يعني توقفوا في لحظة، يعني بمعنى أنه self interest disappeared, support disappeared، فبالتالي it started to the support أو الحشد والدعم من قبل اللي هو الجنود بدأ يخف. Okay. فلما ما يكونش في عندي self interest فبالتالي it is very easy to change opinion. People have more opinions and are able to form opinions more easily on goals than on methods to reach those goals. So if you wanted to change any one opinion or a person's opinion, try to change or to talk about the goals, about the ends, not about the means or the ways. على سبيل المثال بدنا نحكي في عندي مستثمر وحابب يستثمر في المنظمة تبعتي، فبالتالي أنا بحفزه وبشجعه من خلال الهدف اللي حيوصل له، ربحه حيزيد، تمام، سيتضاعف أمواله من خلال هذه الشركة والمشاركة فيها، بس ما بركز على طريقة كيف بدي أبيع، إيش الأسلوب، الاستراتيجية اللي هنستخدمها، إيش الكميات، إنما بنركز على المينز، عفوا على الانds, not the means or the ways to achieve it. Number 6, by and large, in general, if people in a democracy are provided with educational opportunities and ready access to information, public opinion reveals it is very hard or hard-headed common sense. Okay, when people aware or more educated and they have an access to information, so they are aware about everything surrounding them, so it is very difficult to change their opinion. والعكس صحيح طبعا، إذا في عنا فئة غير متعلمة ما فيش عندها معلومات، فبالتالي من السهل إنه إحنا نلعب دور في تغيير الرأي تبعها أو حتى نعمل crystallizing for their opinion. Polishing the corporate image. Organization must understand the credibility is a fragile commodity, as we said before. It is very, very easy to be changed. Number 2, to keep public support, they must operate with the implicit trust of public. So if you wanted to keep your public support, just give them a trust. Number 3, in the 21st century, winning favorable public opinion isn't an option, but it is unnecessary. So if you wanted to last long for a period of time as an organization, it is very necessary to win your public opinion. It is not optional thing. Managing reputation. For anyone concerned about public opinion, it all comes down to managing reputation. So why we want to change public opinion or to understand public opinion? This is all in order to manage or to polish reputation. Reputation is gained by what one does, not by what one says. So we are focusing on actions in order to manage a reputation. The practice of reputation management aligns communication with an organization's character and action. It creates recognition, credibility, and trust among key constituents it says sensitive to its conduct in public with customers and private with employees. Continue talking about managing reputation. Organization must be empathetic to broader society and its need. فبالتالي لازم كمنظمة نبين دائما تعاطفنا ما بين الشركة أو تعاطف الشركة مع قضايا المجتمع. So if you want to polish a reputation or to manage your reputation, you should show them your responsibility toward their issues. So again, organization must be empathetic to broader society and its need. Although reputation is difficult to measure, it is a tangible asset. Managing reputation is a frontline public relation responsibility. So one of the main major role of public relation practitioners is to protect the image of organizations and manage a reputation. That's all for chapter number 4, public opinion. Thank you for your listening and good luck.